the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Happy Thursday, everyone.
Happy
Welcome to the
Thursday.
talk of Mr. Mannrentoy on empathy, resilience, and grit. Let us all give him a virtual round of applause. I'll now pass on to you to our speaker.
Okay, good morning, everyone. So happy to be with the Rosehill family. I want first to check, are we okay with the sound? Kindly please type in the chat box. 3 is if the sound is perfectly okay. 2 if problematic or weak. 1 if there is no sound. Okay, great. Okay, I'm seeing all 3 so far. Fantastic. So that means we're okay. And if at any point in my presentation we encounter some difficulties with the sound, please type in the chat box. 1, if there is no more sound. 2, if it gets weak, because I'm beaming live from Makiling Conference Center. And internet here may not be as usually reliable. Anyway, so I'm very happy to be with you here this morning. We're going to talk about a very important topic, which is developing resilience, grit, and empathy, 3 essential virtues of the digital natives. I'm recording this session just in case some of you will encounter problems with the internet. um, I'm going to pass on the link to the recording to Ma'am Marcelo so that in case you get disconnected, you can catch whatever you may have missed in the recording. Okay, well, according to our title, it says here 3 essential virtues for the digital generation. So the first thing I'm going to do today is to help us have an understanding, a better understanding of these digital natives, no? The students you have inside your classroom, inside our classroom. But I think I would like to first introduce myself a bit. Um, and because we are in the year of St. Joseph and we are dealing with a difficult challenge teaching online, the digital natives, it's like we are teaching them in their very own turf. Okay. And I know this is very challenging for many of us older teachers who are not digitally at home. So we met a lot of challenges last year, and we expect to meet a lot more as we now start a new school year that is fully online in this year of St. Joseph. So I hope you don't mind. I would like to uh, go to St. Joseph, no, to ask for his help so that we are able to have a successful, fruitful school year ahead of us in spite of the difficulties and challenges, not just brought about by the pandemic, the situation, but also brought about by the fact that we are dealing with a totally different kind of generation. A different kind of sometimes I'm tempted to say animals. I mean, these these young people you have inside your classroom today are totally different from what we who have been in the classroom for 30 plus years have encountered. And so I invite you to join me in going to St. Joseph with this teacher's prayer to St. Joseph. O blessed Saint Joseph, guardian of the child Jesus, we pray that you will help us in our daily troubles and tribulations as we try to pass on to our students all the teachings that they need to be able to succeed in their chosen professions. Help us to teach and help them to learn. Guide us all as you guided your most holy Son, Jesus. Obtain for us the graces we need, not only to teach and to learn, but to stay on the right path shown by the light of Christ. Amen. Okay, well, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Emmanuel Rentoy, Man Rentoy. I am a graduate of UST with a double degree in AB Journalism and Literature. I have an MA in Creative Writing, also from UST, and I'm about to defend my dissertation for my PhD Literature, all from UST. I Before leaving for Sri Lanka 2 years ago, I was with the University of Asia and the Pacific, and I continued to handle some subjects in the School of Education. And I founded Westbridge School. Well, I'm one of the first graduates of Southridge back in 1984. And then I went back there 1994 to 2009 to serve as principal of intermediate school, vice principal of high school, and religion department chair. But in 1992 to 1994, I started Westbridge in Iloilo. I was the first executive director. Um, and I, well, helped out in Northfield in my last 5 years before I left for Sri Lanka, um, teaching Latin and moral theology and creative writing. But in the last 11 years, I've been spending more of my time going around the Philippines and around the world, reaching out to teachers like you. Bottom line is to remind everyone to make character formation a top priority, because I've seen very clearly that this is where the crisis is right now, the character of the young people. So I would remind administrators, more urgent than improving your math, upgrading your science, building more laboratories, more urgent than any of these things is let us step up our character formation programs, because that is where the crisis is. And I also am affiliated with, I serve as the executive director of the Center for the Fourth and Fifth Hours Asia, which is an affiliate of Center for the Fourth and Fifth Hours based in the State University of New York under the leadership of Dr. Thomas Licona. That's why we sometimes also refer to it as the Tom Licona Institute of Asia. That's him, a very good friend. Some of you may have actually attended some of the seminars I organized with him in the Philippines. I brought him 4 times already, and he's the one I partner with in the accreditation of schools of character in the Philippines. Okay, well, we're talking about the digital natives. Now more than ever, this work is important, is urgent. It's not just about covering the curriculum. I always remind teachers, our success does not consist in being able to say, ang galing kong teacher, I finished the chapter. I finished the textbook. I covered the syllabus. I managed to reach the last lesson. Nice. I mean, it's important. It's essential. But more than that, I would say the success of a teacher, of a good educator, is for her, for him to be able to say, I made a difference in the lives of my students. My students are better human beings because I taught them math, science, and English, and I formed their character. So that's the bottom line of what we do in CEP and the Center for the Fourth and Fifth Hours. I forgot to explain fourth and fifth hours because our principle is every human being, aside from knowing reading, writing, arithmetic, should have respect and responsibility. Respect and responsibility, the fourth and fifth hours. So we want your students, your ROSEHILL students, to grow up not just expert in math, science, and English and good in academics, because they are already good in academics, but we want them especially to grow up to be good and to do good, even when it is difficult. And I tell you, it's harder than ever to be good and to do good, given the kind of um, environment that we find ourselves in, where the headlines of the day are always about corruption and stealing and lying and dishonesty, and the young people are exposed to these things, and these are the things they see in the news every day. Then crime, criminalities, rape, assault, murder. I mean, these are the things that they're subjected to, even when no one is looking, which is what character is all about. That they're going to do good even after leaving Rosehill, after many years in their profession, doing, raising a family of their own, doing good all the time, choosing to do what is right, even when no one is looking and even when others are not. There's a recent study that came out that the Filipino youth, according to the research, they are not as religious, spiritual as when you and I were younger. In other words, there's a loosening of faith among young people. And if you, like me, I've been inside the classroom for 34 years, and I have seen this. I'm seeing this more and more. When I was in UANP, I was shocked to meet some teenagers declaring themselves to be atheists, non-believers, agnostics. Um that's the kind of world that the young people are living in. Well, okay, according to um, research, according to experts, home, school, religion, these are the three great institutions, social institutions that have shared the work of shaping character. We're very lucky we're teaching in a PAREF school, Parents for Education Foundation. The principle is we've got to have parents who are going to collaborate with us, who are going to partner with us, who are going to be active in playing their role as formators, agents of formation of character of the young people. That's not the case in many other schools. I was invited 2 years ago to speak in one of the top high schools in your area, no, in the south, and they have 5,000 families there in that school. And then they called for an assembly of all the parents so that I could give a talk on raising children of character. And of the 5,000 who were supposed to be there, only 250 came. 250 parents. And that's the kind of mindset many parents nowadays have. They leave it to the school. Bahala na kayo. Kaya namin in-enroll dyan eh. No. Home, school, and religion. These three have to play active roles in shaping character, in shaping the conscience of the young people. In fact, we have the firm belief in PAREF schools that the family is the first school of virtue. Sabi nila, dapat daw pagpasok ng kinder school, natutunan na ng bata dapat sa bahay. Ang respect, kindness, courtesy, uh, that's not what we're seeing nowadays. We have students entering our classroom, our Zoom room, our Google Meet room, and they don't know respect. They don't know how to deal with other kids properly. So we need to help the families because parenting has become harder than ever. Some of you are mothers and you know this because society has changed, families have changed, the barkada, the peer group has changed. So then, if we are to form the character of the young people, we've got to be more vigilant and more intentional. That's why we need seminars like this. We have to intentionally form grit, resilience, and empathy. And I'm going to share with you concrete strategies on how we can go about. You were asked to post questions um, about the topic, and practically everybody posted things there about how do we form grit, how do we form empathy, how do we develop the kids in resilience. We're going to talk about those strategies. But first is we have to be ready to go against the fad culture environment. The environment that the young people are growing up in, it's amazing. Um, okay, the title says three essential virtues for the digital generation. Let us understand where your kids are coming from. Let's have a deeper uh, understanding so that we can have a better appreciation of why are they like that. I mean, they're totally different from our generation, from the generations of the past. Okay, we know this as much as you know their Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You look at their social media, and you wonder why do they really have to post those 150 pictures of their face in different poses. No? It's almost like an addiction. And sometimes you feel cringe. You cringe looking at so many posts of themselves. Well, don't blame them. That's the environment. That's the lifestyle. That's just how things are because it's available for them. Siguro, if we had that kind of access to picture taking cameras in our younger days, we may have done the same. Not my time. You take a picture, you wait until 1 week de develop pa yung film, ano? And you don't even know if perfect shot, blurred, clear. So we didn't have this problem when we were younger. But the young people today, practically every cell phone would have a camera, and so they do selfies. But sometimes we wonder, why do they do this? Going live in Facebook, waiting for many viewers, many likes, many comments, comments like, ate, pa shout out naman. Fan sign, please. You wonder why? What's this? But this is not good because it has fostered this kind of mindset that uh, worth, self-worth, becoming equated with the number of likes, the number of comments, and the number of followers. That's a problem when you have people who become so engrossed about having as many followers as their friends or their colleagues. Or now, many of you may not have gotten into TikTok because immediately you judge it as it's vanity at its highest. TikTok is so powerful in its algorithm to foster precisely the desire for followers and likes and comments. And I mean, it's amazing how these engineers are able to come up with technology like that capitalize on technology that capitalizes on the deep desire of everyone to be accepted and to be liked and to have followers and to have fans. And that's the kind of world that the young people are growing up in, the digital generation. Sometimes I feel uneasy when you have somebody posting, a student posting, "Hey guys, I'm here in Tagaytay. Any recommendation for a restaurant?" Like that, and you feel you feel like posting. Do you really need to trouble the whole world about what you want to eat for lunch? I mean, bulalo ka dyan kung gusto mo. But kailangan mo pa ba talagang ipaalam sa buong mundo na naghahanap ka ng restaurant? Well, that's crowdsourcing. Suddenly, they have the whole world at their beck and call. And what I get surprised about is, uy, dozens of friends start posting, try Antonio's. This restaurant is fantastic. They have nice dessert. Crowdsourcing. And again, let's not blame the young people for this. It's available for them. We may have done it ourselves when we were younger if it was available for us. Nagluluto ka ng monggo. Anyone has extra malunggay? Kailangan ko lang. Wala. We would have done the same thing if it was available to us. That kind of technology of being able to do what we call crowdsourcing. So, that is the kind of world that the young people are in. And then you wonder, kailangan mo talagang i-post yung what you think about Avengers Endgame? I mean, when were you ever an expert in movie criticism? Wala kang pinag-aralan tungkol sa movie criticism. But that's the world they're living in. As soon as they open Facebook, that's the first thing they see. What's on your mind? I mean, it's telling you express yourself. IMO, in my opinion. Let the world know your opinion. Let the world know what you think about the result of the Miss Universe. Let the world know what your opinion is about everything. So the world is telling them, let the world know what you feel, what you think, what you are, uh, yeah, feeling blessed. What do I care about your feelings today? But that is the world they're living in. So I tell teachers, I tell older people like myself, don't get mad at them if they post things that make you cringe. Because they are just living according to what the environment is dictating on them, to let the world know your feeling, your opinion, your mind, your what you have in mind. And so the young people, they enjoy this, they like this kind of connected world. They have a brain that, according to researchers, has already been rewired, a different kind of mindset. That's why they want to be constantly connected. I mean, I tell you, di ba, many times you say, okay, class, online class, no use of gadgets, no. I tell you, they may be looking at you at the screen, their video is open, but they can actually be texting without actually looking at the phone. That's how expert they are. They can text without looking at the phone. I mean, at you. Sorry, at the phone. By they're looking at you, but really they are expertly crafting a response to a text message. In the U.S., this is a crisis because every day, according to research, according to reports, 11 teenagers are killed every day. So then, um, and then you will hear more and more, as you already may have experienced this. You have students coming to you complaining about, Ma'am, teacher, my head is aching. I'm dizzy. Man, I'm having trouble with the. Yeah, of course, because if the whole weekend your head is tilted like that, looking at the gadget, the tablet, the cell phone, that's like carrying 60 pounds on your neck. I mean, it's no wonder you will have students now more and more complaining about, parang something's wrong with my eyes, something's wrong with my neck, something's wrong with my back. They feel tired, they feel exhausted. They didn't do anything, they were just seated with their gadget. Of course, that is very tiring, carrying 60 pounds on your neck. That's why, please expect more and more of these complaints about dizziness, neck pain, stress. Monday pa lang, bakit parang tamad, pagod na, tiredness, headache, without even realizing it's because of the number of hours you spent with that screen, small screen of the cell phone, bigger screen of the tablet, or the bigger screen of the Netflix TV. And so the young people are growing up in that kind of environment. That is the digital generation that you have inside your classroom. Of course, with greatly decreased um, physical activities, what will follow is increased waistlines. You now also complain more and more about students being overweight and all. Or this complaint about the phantom limb syndrome. You know, the even you yourself sometimes can be subjected to this, and you feel like, uy, nag-vibrate ang phone ko, and then you check your pocket, wala dyan ang phone mo nandun sa lamesa, and yet you sense a certain vibration, nakala mo yung cellphone mo. Kahit tayo are affected by this because that is our world. The whole day you may be holding on to your cell phone, or at least you want it close to you because you are expecting a call, a message. Here's what the research tells us about the digital generation. They don't live for the moment, they live for the foment. Yeah. That's why you watch them watch a concert. They're all taking a video. I mean, uy, baba nyo yan and enjoy the moment. Listen. And I used to watch Angela Bofill in Araneta Coliseum. And we danced along, we sang along, but we were not taking video. Um, because the young people today, they get a bigger kick out of being able to post in Facebook, in Instagram, in Twitter that they were there in the concert of Ed Sheeran, that they were there in the concert of Katy Perry, and they were very close to the stage. And then they post it, and hundreds of comments. Wow, inggit match, nice. Um, and that's when they get a bigger kick out of the experience. It was a moment for the phone, um, not a moment to relish. So then, here's something else about the young people. It's more especially among the boys, but it can also happen among girls. Bakit mo pinost yan? Hindi mo naman kayang sabihin yan sa tao face to face. I mean, you remember 2 years ago, December 23, nagising tayo at nagulantang sa post about Joaquin Montes. You remember Joaquin Montes? um, ito yung Ateneo high school student, taekwondo, tapos binuli yung isang estudyante, and then the video became viral. And then you have thousands, literally thousands of comments from people, from Filipinos saying nasty things like, Joaquin Montes, punta ka dito sa eskwelahan namin, papatayin kita. Yan. O kaya, mamatay na sana yung buong pamilya. I mean, it's absurd. And if they were face to face with Joaquin Montes, I don't think they'll ever say any of those things. Why then did you post it? Because of this anonymity of the screen that encourages the young people to express your feeling, let the world know your opinion, uh, and they feel powerful being able to do that because they're just one of the 10,000 comments anyway. Anonymity of the screen. Something we need the young people to realize is anything they post is leaves behind the digital footprint, right? And there goes privacy. I mean, really, you go to cebupacific.com, right? And then you search for flight to Iloilo. And then you go to Facebook, your Facebook account. Suddenly, there are advertisements there. Best hotels in Iloilo. Ala, Google is following your every move online. And then they're using algorithm to market, to sell to you things that you obviously you will need because naghanap ka ng ticket for Manila Iloilo flight. This lady posted a new profile pic 1 minute ago. Yan. And then, after 1 minute, uy, may advertisement na kagad, na nag-appear doon, selling the same blouse that she's wearing in her profile pic. And that's only 1 minute. That's how powerful the algorithm of this um, telecom and online sellers, marketers, Google, etc. So then, let us not fall into the same trap. No, I know some teachers who do this. They go to bed and then they say, anyway, I will sleep as soon as I feel sleepy. And then they start scrolling, liking here, liking there. Before you know it, it's been 2 hours with that bottomless, pointless, useless, endless, mindless scrolling. And if we can fall into that trap, imagine what kind of traps are there waiting for the digital generation. Your students don't know a world without cell phone. They don't know a world without computer. So their mindset is there is computer, there is cell phone, there is Netflix of 24/7, dozens, hundreds of movies to choose from. All these are what are bringing about crisis in character, especially empathy. Dr. Michelle Borba, the number one expert on that, because of her book Unselfie, she spent 10 years researching the death of empathy among the kids. And that's the main thing that she says there. Of course, empathy will be in trouble because you can have a kid today who can be spending the whole day with the screen, not with another human being, not with other kids, but with a screen. Um, and the whole day, the whole weekend. And then this pandemic made it even worse because now biglang na-legitimize ang spending the whole day in front of the computer because they can easily say, may online class, may asynchronous class, may work to be submitted. All these are contributing to the crisis in grit, resilience, and empathy. So then, all the technological, digital lifestyle, all these have contributed to the brain being subjected to a lot of challenges. I mean, look at this list, and you will agree with me. I have students who hate memorization. Sasabihin nila, Sir, bakit kailangan memorize ng preamble of the Philippines? I can just Google that and I can have it in 0.07 seconds in my cell phone, in my tablet. And you start thinking, oo nga, ba't kailangan ko pa memorize? Why do we need to memorize the capital of the countries when, again, Google can give that to me in 0.05 seconds? So, and then you have attention span problem, sabi ng research. The young people today have an attention span that is 1 second lower than that of the goldfish. Sounds like an exaggeration, but that's a research. What can I do? Because the brain is being fed fast food. Hindi na sanay sa um, heavy use of the brain. I mean, while they have so much information at the click of their finger, they are poorer, according to research, in analysis, synthesis, evaluation, the higher order thinking skills. That's what the young people are subjected to. That's what we need to address. And then, not to mention, we've lost the art of handwriting in many places because, true, everything has to be digital now, filling up forms. And so, don't be surprised if we will continue to meet up with challenges like this. Sleep disorder. I'm going to say something about sleep later on as one of the strategies we need to help the young people in. Okay? I mean, really, these are disorders that we are seeing among many young people, not to mention the physical disorders that they complain about, and then not to mention the other disorders. Okay? Um, some of the suicide cases that we hear about rooted in that, my girlfriend, boyfriend, and then they exchange nude pictures, and then umabot yung relationship sa break na tayo, o sige ikakalat ko yung picture mo, and then they commit suicide. And that's a frequent story here and there. So the digital generation, here's what I need to let you know. I am not anti-technology, don't get me wrong. Otherwise, we will not be able to have anything like this. But, and besides, technology is here to stay. Okay? It's not going to go away. Our job is to make sure the young people have the self-control, the temperance to use technology, not the other way around. That technology is the one that will start using them, which is what I'm seeing among some older teenagers. Technology is the one controlling them. Uy, lumabas yung iPhone 12. I have to have that latest. Luma na yung iPhone 11 ko. They have become under the control of technology. So, one thing we need to teach the young people, and we can also teach this to ourselves because we are not exempt, we are not freed of this curse of the digital addiction. We need to learn digital detoxification. And here are a few ideas. Kahit sabihin mo, Mr. Antoy, wala akong problema. Ako, social media, I limit it to 10 minutes a day lang. Just to check my Facebook, greet some people, birthdays, ganyan. Yeah, but that 10 minutes a day, you put it together, uy, that's 60 hours that you have spent. Imagine what we can possibly do with 60 hours. That's a lot of time. So, even the 10 minutes a day, counts for so much. Here's number one: turn off notifications. Facebook should not be the one dictating on you. Uy, somebody liked your picture. Come back, come back. Uy, somebody commented on your post. Come. That's what notifications do, right? I mean, it's like telling them, come, come back to Facebook. Somebody liked your picture. Your friend posted a picture. Your friends are celebrating their birthdays. Come. It's like social media controlling us. Turn it off. Number two, ever noticed minsan meron kang friends sa Facebook, kahit anong post niya, naiinis ka kasi parang either it's against your political beliefs, your political stand, or parang you find it napaka self-centered, vain, and you know what? Delete toxic people, toxic pages, and toxic apps. If you feel bad seeing posts from a certain friend, in fact, ang dami mo ng choices. You don't just have to delete. You can hide, you can mute. Papapiliin ka pa, mute for 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or until you put it back. Block so that you will never be bothered at all by those posts. Take a break, unfollow, unfriend so that they don't appear on your wall. Anything that brings you bad vibes, delete, especially if it is a digital toxic post. That Number three, airplane mode is not just for the airplane, it's also for family bonding time. I love it. Many family, more and more families are making it as a rule: no gadgets over dinner or during meals. Nice, but the parents have to model it first. Don't answer the phone during mealtime. Don't text during mealtime. Then the others will follow. The kids will follow. So, airplane mode is also for family time, bonding time, prayer time, time for chatting with your spouse, with your children. Number four, it's good to give yourself and your gadgets a rest. I mean, like challenge yourself. This Thursday, I will not even go online. I will give it a break because I need a break, the digital break, as well as the gadget needs a bit of a, it's overused. No? Laser focus to develop this certain mindset. Okay, if I'm going to go to the internet online, why? I need to get a phone number. Okay, laser focus. I got it out. Otherwise, you know what happens sometimes. I I'll I need this telephone number. You go. I might as well check my email. Ano kaya ang result ng nba.com? Ano kaya ang headline ngayon? And then before you know it, that getting one phone number cost us an hour of surfing. So, laser focus, going in and then out as soon as we are done with it, asking ourselves frequently, will connecting at this moment really help me achieve my goal? And let's teach this to the young people so that they can be in full control and not the other way around. Number six, deepen connection, real human connections. Unfortunately, this pandemic is preventing us from being physically together. But thanks to Zoom, thanks to FB Messenger, thanks to Skype and Viber, we can still connect with people, asking about how they are, what things they are busy with, and I mean, real human connection. And then finally, number seven, embrace downtime because the best things in life don't happen online, they happen in real life. And if we can teach the young people all these, especially in being able to do every now and then digital detoxification, they will be happier. I mean, really, there's a lot more to life than just online virtual life. Okay, so then, grit, resilience, and empathy suffer greatly because of this digital lifestyle. Grit and resilience, for example, because the world uh, is um, is preaching instant gratification. instant. Everything has to be instant. I mean, even connection has to be instant. When you click on a website, you want it to appear. And if it doesn't appear in 5 seconds, you feel something is wrong with the internet. And some people get upset, get irritated, get angry, get frustrated. Everything has to be instant. And then you also fall into this instant gratification trap. I've seen people, um, lucky me, mommy noodles, add hot water, wait for 3 minutes. But even the 3 minutes are too long. They check every 1 minute to see if the noodles are already soft. Kasi kailangan instant. Patience is now a challenge. So grit and resilience now are affected. And then empathy, as I explained earlier, because of the digital lifestyle that they live. Grit is passion and perseverance for long term, for very long term goals. Angela Duckworth has become suddenly the expert, acknowledged expert, thanks to her book on grit. And it's good to read because it has many ideas that we can use precisely to help people develop grit, passion, of being able to sustain, um, work on an objective, even if it will mean a lot of sacrifice, a lot of effort, and a lot of time, even. So, then, 5 characteristics of grit. Number one, courage. It's not about not having any fear, but it's overcoming the fear. And many of us needed grit to survive this online challenge. I mean, suddenly last year, when we were forced into finishing the school year online, we scampered to how do we survive this? What can we do? This is not what we were trained to do. I mean, in the schools of education, we were not taught how to teach online. We were taught how to teach face to face. But it's grit that got you to survive. I tell you, there are some who gave up. There are some who quit. They didn't have the grit, the courage to face the big challenge. Last week, I was invited to give the tribute to three Philippine science teachers who were retiring. And one of them, after teaching for 25 years in Philippine science, she said she had to give up because every time she would be in front of the computer, she would start hyperventilating. So her blood pressure starts going up, even physical shaking and trembling when she had to start a class online. I mean, physically, her body couldn't take it, and so she had to retire. Besides, she has reached the age of 65, no? So she's of age of that stage. So, courage to survive this situation we find ourselves in. Conscientiousness. Sometimes now we use the word mindfulness, being in the now, being thorough, careful, or vigilant, which is something suffering. This conscientiousness, attention to details, has suffered greatly because of the digital lifestyle. I'll give you the example of when I was writing my thesis for undergraduate journalism, literature in UST. I had to use the typewriter to do my thesis, and my advisor was very strict. One mistake and papaulit niya yung page. Kaya I had to be very careful, attentive to every letter, to every detail, because especially pag lumampas na ako ng gitna ng page, one mistake and you will have to repeat the whole page. So, not the young people today. 1,000 mistakes, no problem. Backspace lang yan, delete lang yan, cut lang yan, erase lang yan. So, the technology has not made them conscientious, being thorough, being careful, or being vigilant. Perseverance to start and continue steadfastly on the path towards any goal that you set. we're now seeing more and more cases of teenage suicide. In teenage depression, binasted lang ng boyfriend, gusto na magpakamatay. Bumagsak lang ng isang subject, gusto na magpakamatay. Hindi lang nakapasa sa choice of university niya, gusto niya na magpakamatay. And I tell you, those three examples I gave you are three examples from PAREF students. I know they are not uh, spared. Even these young people who have been receiving formation for uh, so many years of their life have difficulties, problems with grit, with perseverance. They too need this. Resilience, which we will cover in detail in the next virtue, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, similar to what I just finished talking about. And then passion, having a deep sense of purpose. And here's what I need to tell you, my dear Rosehill teachers, the pandemic is not an excuse to continue with student leadership, to continue with student clubs and organizations where they can discover their passion and deep sense of purpose. The pandemic, the online situation, the online classes, these are not an excuse for us to say, wala mo ng student activities, wala munang clubs, wala muna. No, we have to find ways of being able to continue with these things because these are ways that they can discover a sense of passion, a sense of purpose, especially those outreach activities. I am very happy when I read in social media, Southridge organizing a community pantry. I'm sure Rosehill came up with some things also. I was very happy with these students in Westbridge organizing something for the jeepney drivers who were who suffered greatly because of this pandemic. I mean, the pandemic is not a reason for us to stop looking for ways that we can get the students to do community service, activities, leadership, etc. Yesterday, I had a meeting with all the student councils of all the PAREF schools, including the Rosehill officers who were there. And it's amazing. There were 47 of them from all the PAREF schools, very passionate about being able to do something in spite of the situation, in spite of being locked down, being at home, and being just online. Let's foster this drive to be able to do something, to be able to contribute to uplifting lives of others, especially the needy. Okay, so let's look into 7 ways to develop grit in your kids for parents among you, and then many of them applicable to how we do things with our students inside the classroom. Here's number 1. I just finished talking about igniting their passion. So, continue with your student leadership activities. This afternoon, I am giving a session to all the 200 or 120 student leaders of Holy Angel University because their problem there is the student leaders suddenly have misdirected passions, fighting for LGBT pride campaign, fighting for anak bayan, ipaglaban at ibagsak ang gobyerno, that kind. So now they need somebody from outside to step in and remind them, teka muna, we have certain core values that we have to stand by that dictate what we do and why we do what we do in our school. So that's what I'm going to talk about with them. And if you have none for your student leaders, maybe you should be planning something for them on how to get them understand and appreciate very deeply what we stand for as a school. What does Rosehill stand for? What are our core values? In spite of the pandemic, in spite of that's how we get to ignite their passion. Here's another one, and this is very much related to the digital lifestyle I talked about earlier. We need to teach them self control, and this is essential to grit. I mean, how can you sustain your passion for an objective, for a long-term goal, if konting problema you encounter and then you give up and then you quit and then you don't continue on? um, or distractions that come their way, Netflix, Spotify, TikTok, whatever social media that's made available suddenly for them. If they don't have self-control, then they get derailed, and then they don't get to reach their objective. Again and again, we older people, adults, parents, and teachers should be talking to the students, the young people, about, "Oy, life is all about overcoming obstacles. Expect setbacks, expect failures, even that there will be difficulties, that there will be challenges. As sure as the sun will rise, there will be challenges in our life. Don't be surprised if they come." These things have to come out of our mouth again and again, even if you're not teaching religion, values, guidance, even if your subject is science, math, English. And that's why one of the strategies we have to have is introduce appropriate role models for your students. Math teachers, there are so many mathematicians who showed perseverance, grit, resilience in the face of difficulties. Science teachers, you talk about scientists who did not quit, like Thomas Edison, in spite of failing more than 1,000 times in trying to discover the light bulb. He didn't quit, he didn't give up. That's grit, that's passion, that's knowing how to face the setbacks that naturally come our way. Make a plan together. That's why yesterday I talked about this with your student leaders. I asked them, I asked the students, have you been trained by your school, by your moderator, by your teachers, how to make a project proposal paper, how to write a project proposal? Generally, all of them said no. They were not given a seminar on how to make project proposal papers, when it's one of the best things we can teach the young people, because one of the items in making a project proposal is success measures, to foresee what possible problems that will arise, including baka management will disapprove. Okay, so what can we put into our proposal that will make the management not disapprove? Baka sabihin nila, we don't have money. Okay, let's put into the project proposal how we can raise the money to fund this project at no cost on the part of the school. You see, that's why this making a plan together, preparing a project proposal, it's one of the best ways to prepare them, not just to pass a test next week, not just to pass a quiz tomorrow, but to pass the test of life. Because in the end, for the rest of their life, that's what they're going to do. They'll be making plans, making plans for college, making plans for the final exam, making plans for the professional life, making plans for their family and having children and having. So the sooner we get to teach them this making a plan, the better for them. They're more prepared. Okay, complementing effort, so that they realize that it's not just about getting the trophy, winning the competition. It's not just being able to get the honors. No, the effort also counts. That's why, well, I mentioned to you, I belong to the first batch of Southridge. In the early years of Southridge, there was no valedictorian, salutatorian. I mean, we did not even announce principal's list, second honor, first honor. Wala. Because in the mind of the early fathers of Southridge, early founders, I mean the founders of Southridge, um, it's the virilita agite that counts. It's the effort. It's the journey that matters more than the honor, the medal. Well, things change, and I'm not happy about it. But what can we do? Such is history. It's dynamic. It keeps on changing. So now there is a valedictorian, there is a salutatorian, there are first, second honors, and but that's how it is. But in the mind of the older pillars of the school, it's the effort more that counts. That's why the Southridge Student Award used to be on that. It's not about the grades. It's about the effort and the virtues displayed by the students. And then never to fail to remind the young people to stick to what's really important. It's not about the grades, okay? So please don't resort to cheating just to be able to pass. Don't resort to cut and pasting, which it has become, because of the digital lifestyle, has become a mindset. It's not cheating for them, it's resourcefulness. The cut and pasting has become almost like a second nature. Why? Because it's available and it's so easy. That's not how we did it in the past. You have to go to the library, consult 27 volumes of the encyclopedia. That's how it was. Okay, show how to take care of body and mind. I mentioned earlier, please, kahit anong subject ang tinuturuan nyo, sometimes you need to comment about their sleeping habits. Because research tells us this generation of young people today, yung students ninyo, they are the sleep deprived generation. Sleep deprived. And it's true. Kasi nga, pwedeng gumising ng 2 o'clock in the morning. There are still the hundreds of Netflix movies to choose from. There are still the more than 1 billion videos in YouTube to choose from. Not like in my time, yung tatatlong TV stations nagsa-sign off at 10 in the evening. Kaya tulog na kami. But the young people today, ay nako, if you do not comment about the importance of sleep, ang pinaniniwalaan nila is yung mga nasa social media meme. Sleep is only for the weak. Of course not. It's for every human being. And you have to make sure they understand that. The reason why they feel sluggish, lazy, heavy, sleepy on Monday, syempre, Saturday and Sunday, nagpuyat ka. Sleep is so important, the body has a way of fighting back. And they have to hear it from the adults, and they have to see it as an example shown by the adults. We have to take care of mind and body, of sleep, of eating proper diet and having proper diet, and because they all have something also to do with the way we are able to um, have grit and persevere and sustain our efforts. I've been talking for an hour, and so I'll just show you, just for a break, for those who need to go to the washroom, get water, or just a little mental break. I want to show you a just a video, um, and you can take advantage of these 3 minutes to do whatever you need to do. Meanwhile, here's just a nice song for all of you. Okay. Yeah, that's better than dynamite, no? Okay, let's continue on. We're done with grit. Let's now go to resilience, which is described as the power to be able, oops, sorry, my microphone is, the power to be able to recover readily from adversity or challenge. That's what the resilience is all about. And in the face of depression, suicide cases, resilience becomes even more urgent, more important, more necessary to teach the young people. Kasi naalala nyo, many years ago, we didn't need any session on how to deal with depression, how to go about helping a kid going through depression. Wala naman yung mga ganong klaseng seminars. I mean, we didn't need them. Now, parang we need to equip teachers with strategies on What to do if one day a student comes to you saying she is depressed? How can you mentor someone who is going through things like that? The ability to bounce back, adapting to hardships and setbacks in life. That's what resilience is all about. And just from the definition, all of us are saying, ay oo nga, kailangan ng mga kabataan yan. Now more than ever. And then to develop, to undergo normal development even under difficult conditions. And this is it. The pandemic is a highly irregular, difficult condition. 1 week after nagbukas yung school year last year, 1 week pa lang ng online classes, I got to talk to a mentor telling me that yung student niya is already going through depression and broke down and talked about suicide 1 week pa lang. So, yes, we all agree Zoom fatigue is real. It's a real thing. Let's not deny it. And it's also real for teachers, as it is also real for parents. So I always tell teachers, these past weeks I've been doing seminars online, and I've been telling teachers, please be forgiving with yourself, okay? I know many of you are saying, I did not teach as well as I have always done last year compared to the so many years I've been inside the classroom. Of course, of course. Don't punish yourself with that thought. Of course, because it's abnormal. While we keep on calling it the new normal, the now normal, oh, come on, there's nothing normal about this online classes. It is highly irregular. We pray and we look forward to the day we will be back inside the classroom teaching according to how we were trained to teach. But resilience, in spite of these, to still develop, to still grow as teachers, even under difficult conditions. That's the latest book of Dr. Michelle Borba, Thrivers. Why do some kids thrive even during difficult situations or difficult conditions, like the pandemic, like this situation now we find ourselves in? So it's an outcome, but it's also a process. Outcome because that is the end. We become resilient. But it's a process because we have to be resilient as we go through the adversity, difficulties. Okay, qualities which cushion a vulnerable child from the worst effects of adversity in whatever form it takes, and which may help a child or young person to cope, survive, and even thrive in the face of great hurt and disadvantage. So then, stay calm, teachers. This is going to end soon. We will be back in the classroom and we will be teaching masterfully as we have always done in the past so many years. Meanwhile, okay, there are strategies to be able to do it effectively, even online. Let's learn them and let's just keep on teaching, resiliently facing these challenges. Here's what research says about resilience. Resilient children are better equipped to resist stress and adversity, cope with change and uncertainty, and to recover faster and more completely from traumatic events or episodes. And then reading this, we all say, ay oo nga, kailangan nating ituro ang resilience because we have students now who can easily give up on a project, on a plan, on an idea, on an ideal, just because there were challenges, there were difficulties. Three key factors, protective factors. You want these young people to have resilience? Sabi ng research, three factors can help them make sure they grow resilient. Number one, at least one secure attachment relationship. Sometimes it's a teacher. I mean, you've met people like that. They come from broken families. Family is irregular situation, but because there's one teacher, or one coach, or one friend who believed in them, who motivated them, who pushed them, who listened to them when they needed somebody to listen to them, they survived. They thrived. They were able to manage. Number two, and this is something very Filipino, we're very lucky that we have this kind of strong family centered life and family centered setup in society, access to wider support such as extended family and friends. I mean, here in the Philippines, you can have a household under one roof, three generations of people living. In the US, pagka ang nanay, tatay hindi na productive and they need attention, they deposit them to a caregiving facility, to somewhere, home for the aged. That's not how Filipinos do it. We take care of lolo and lola until they die, until they die. So we have that extended. That's why many situations you have a son and the parents are not in good terms. So okay, they go to the lola, they go to the lolo. It's the grandparents who raise them up to be good people. So that's a protective factor. And number three, this is it. This is where we come in as Rosehill, as teachers, as educators. Positive nursery, school, and or community experiences. That's why many of you have experienced this. Alumni homecoming. Some of your students will look for you because they want to express their gratitude to you. So we need to build resilience because life doesn't get easier or more forgiving. We get stronger and more resilient. That's how we will be able to survive. So then, what can we do? Especially, I mentioned this rise in suicide cases, depression, age of instant gratification, sense of entitlement, privileged mindset, narcissism. All these are problems in the environment. That's why we have to play our part in helping the young people develop resilience. Okay, 5 ways to help the young people develop resilience in the Zoom classroom, in the Google Meet room, in the Microsoft Team room. Number one, promote self-reflection through literary essays or small group discussions. Okay, make them write. That's why journal writing, and now that we are in this situation of work from home and online classes, we can make the students do journal writing in every subject. For example, what are the most important things you learned this week? What difficulties you encountered this week in our subject? um, what helped you cope in that test that we had last week? How come you did well? How come you did poorly? How come you um, so make them reflect through essays or small group discussions, the breakout rooms that we make available for them so that they can discuss with their friends, with their peers about a specific lesson or specific matter about what you are discussing with them. The author of this article talks about heroicimagination.org that contains a lot of those literary essays. So this one is you make them read, okay, literary essays. Because number two is you will make them write. Now, questions like this should be asked in your literature, in your math discussion of certain characters, in social studies, historical characters. No? Who was the hero in this story and why? What challenge or dilemma did the hero overcome? Applicable even to literature, characters in literature, scientists that you are discussing. What personal strengths did the hero possess? What choices did he or she have to make? How did other people support the hero? And what did the hero learn? How do we use the same personal strengths when we overcome obstacles in our own lives? Can you share some examples? So, questions like these that we ask the students to discuss, to reflect on, to answer, they bring out the lessons on resilience, on being able to cope in spite of the difficulties that they encounter. So the first one is reflection through literary essays. This number two is that they themselves will write about a person who supported you during a particularly stressful or traumatic time. How did they help you overcome this challenge? Or questions like this: what did you learn about yourself when you were helped in that crisis or in that difficulty? Write about a friend that you supported as he or she went through a stressful event. What did you do that most helped your friend? So these are possible activities, for example, for class advisors, or in literature, as a reflection paper, a reflection journal, or as I said, even in other subjects, we introduce characters to the young people, characters who themselves went through different crises, from which we can learn a lesson or two. What did you learn about yourself? Write about a time in your life when you had to cope with a difficult situation. What helped and hindered you as you overcame this challenge? And what learning did you take away that will help you in the future? Number three, and this is very, I mean, you're lucky you are in a school like PAREF Rosehill, where we make it a standard thing that parents collaborate, parents support. Here is how we can help the children and their parents learn from student failures. You know, there's this beautiful article which I hope you can pass on to the parents. Why parents need to let their children fail. I mean, okay, the title sounds very negative, but really, parents who run to the school, pag bumagsak yung anak nila, they go to the school, look for the teacher, and then asks the teacher, the parents ask the teacher, "Ma'am, explain why my daughter failed." Teka muna, bakit akong tinatanong mo? Why don't you ask your daughter? Bakit siya bumagsak? Bakit parang kasalanan ko? Parang sabi ni Bea Alonzo, ba't parang kasalanan ko? No, the parents should actually realize that failure is not a tragedy. It's not tragic. Failure is sometimes the best lesson that their daughter can possibly learn from, and that can possibly change their life and make the switch, the turnaround can happen. So the worst thing parents can do is that's what we call overprotective parents, no? They even shield their child from failure, not by helping her cope, but by removing those problems for her. I mean, solving the problem for her by removing the obstacles, which is not how to help prepare this child for real life. Because in real life, someday the parents are not going to be there. Not even someday. There will come a time the parents cannot protect them anymore from the challenges and the difficulties that anyway will come their way, because that's how life is. Yes, helicopter parents, overprotective parents, permissive parents. We've encountered some of these. And yes, I'm not just talking about parents from other schools. It can happen even in our own school. That's why it's very important that we orient them properly about the meaning of collaboration and homeschool collaboration. It's not about just giving donation. It's not just about being part of a committee. Those things are nice, but especially in the first place, informing the character of their child at home, so that we are able to achieve our goals in school accordingly also. Create a classroom culture where failure, setbacks, and disappointment are unexpected and honored part of learning. Okay? Establish and reinforce an atmosphere where students are praised for their hard work, perseverance, and grit, not just for grades and easy successes. I mean, let's face it, you have some honor students who are able to get first honor even if they don't study hard. I mean, you have students like that. They just have very good memory work. I mean, memory. So, if it's only the grades that you are praising, then there are some who just need more time and they are neglected or set aside, or they don't get the motivation that they need. Hold students accountable for producing their own work, efforts from which they feel ownership and internal reward. So, these are things that we can do in order to help the children and the parents as well understand that failure is not a tragic thing, that failure is not the end of the road. Educate and assure parents that supporting kids through failure builds resilience and one of the best developmental outcomes that they can give their children. Okay, so those are some of the things that we can do to develop them. Then, what else can we do inside the classroom? Bring discussions about human resilience into the classroom. As I said, whatever subject you're teaching, look for those characters, mathematicians, scientists, inventors, historical characters, characters in history, the literary figures, through whom we can bring up the discussion on, you see, that's why you've got to develop resilience. You see what resilience can do. You see what perseverance can help you achieve. Those things have to come out in the urgency of character formation, strategies, and methods. The workshop that I do, I always talk about that. um, Young people have to be introduced to appropriate role models. Appropriate role models in resilience, in grit, in empathy. Because ibang klase ang mga nagiging kanilang role model. I'm not exaggerating, and not just because somebody pointed it out earlier. BTS, they look up to they look up to Katy Perry, and they look up to Taylor Swift, and those are the things, those are the celebrities that they get attracted to, which I don't have to tell you are not exactly the best role models for our students. Number 5, there's that expression, for education to be effective, it has to be personal. It has to be personal. And the online classes have made it more difficult for us, but we've got to find ways to continue being able to build relationships with the students even in this online setup. For example, give an email address that they can send a comment to, feedback to, complain to, or just to open up to, or to make yourself available even better at certain times of the day. When you say, if you need to consult, I will be available. You can log in here and put in the schedule that you want to see me, you want to talk to me, you want to chat. Of course, mentoring does that. But whatever subject you're teaching, you also make yourself available for the students to consult. There should be an email address, messenger, whatever it is, but those will help build supportive relationships with students. Last, empathy, because it's already 10:54, and well, empathy, identifying with and feeling other people's concerns. It's in a crisis because of the digital lifestyle that we talked about earlier. When can you say the person has empathy? Here, if she is able to say, you look upset, they're able to empathize. I understand how you feel. I'm sad that you got hurt. That happened to me too once. It makes me feel sad for you. That's empathy. My heart is racing. I feel like I want to, sharing the joy of another person. I'm happy for you. I bet it hurts a lot. It happened to me. Or what do they do? Well, when they notice when people are hurting and they feel for them, they tear up, they cry when they see someone crying. That's empathy. They walk out to console others in pain. They comfort another because they understand the person's hurt. They feel excited for others when they win. They wins when they see the hero get hurt at the movies. They talk soothingly to those in pain, and they mirror the facial expressions of the distressed person. So those are signs of empathy. Here, according to Michelle Barba, are three steps that we can take to develop empathy among the young people. Number one, let's do it one step at a time. By the way, I'm going to pass on the whole slide presentation to Ma'am Marcelo. So if you will want to go over it, then you can ask for the slide from her. I will send her the link where you can download this slide presentation. Let's go to step number one. How do we develop empathy? First, let's build an emotional vocabulary, awareness and emotional vocabulary. I mean, take a look at this, for example. This is the page one of a two-page, um, how do you call this, dictionary of emotional words. Let's zoom in the upper part of page one. How many of these words do your students know? Because how can they even determine the emotion of the person they're dealing with if they don't know what critical means? Cross, curious, cynical, depressed, delighted, disappointed. Let's go to the middle of the page. Calm, caring, cautious, cheerful, eager, edgy, embarrassed, encouraged, enraged, enthused. I mean, if empathy is knowing how to feel for another person's point of view, or for another person, in the first place, can they describe as many different emotions? And then here's the lower part of that page. And we are just in page one of these vocabulary words that express emotion. Page two, let's look at the upper part. Do your students know what impatient means? Indifferent, inferior, insecure, intense, irate? Is her classmate terrified, tired, troubled, uncomfortable, unsafe, unsettled? Middle part of that page. Rejected, reluctant, resentful, restless, ridiculous, riled, rushed, and finally the lower part. So many vocabulary words to describe emotion. The more of these your students know, the bigger chance you have that she will be empathetic, that she will have empathy, because then she will be able to know how others may be feeling. She will be able to read through the faces of the people they're dealing with. Okay, so first is, let's build their emotional vocabulary. Once they have a bigger, richer vocabulary of emotion words, they will be now more prepared to be sensitive to the feelings of others. That's step two. And so let's take a look at 6 simple ways to nurture the sensitivity of the kids. Here's number one: praise sensitive, kind actions, so that the young people know that it matters to ma'am. It matters pala. It matters to have sensitivity. Class, I discovered that Joanna helped Geraldine in her assignment because she was absent last week. She was sick. Joanna, good job. That's what it means to be caring, to be helpful. And I did not tell you that. That's even better initiative. You are praising the action of Joanna. Of course, Joanna will feel very elated, and the others will realize, I will be like that also next time. If somebody is absent, I will volunteer to, hey, did you get the assignment? That's the value of praising sensitive, kind actions. Number two, show the effect of sensitivity. So, class, you see, Geraldine is not as scared to join us again in the class, not as afraid, because she is ready. And that's thanks to the help that Joanna gave her. That's the effect of sensitivity. You see what happens, and it's beneficial to so many people. Draw attention to nonverbal feeling cues because sometimes emotions are shown not through words, not through the tone of the voice, but through clenched fist or eyebrows that are knitted like that. Non-verbal feeling cues. Number four, ask often, how does he feel? How does she feel? In literature, how do you think the character feels? In history, how do you think Jose Rizal felt at that moment? How do you think this president of the United States, how do you think he felt at that moment? So asking them about feelings of people, making them more conscious about non-verbal feeling cues. They didn't say anything, but the action, the situation may be bringing about certain feelings. Use the formula feels plus needs. Every feeling comes with a need. Happy, he, she wants to share it. That's the natural thing about happiness. They want to share that joy with other people. Sadness, they need comforting. Angry, they need calming down. They need to be helped to calm down. So every feeling comes with a need, and making them think, use the formula will help them. Therefore, I have to treat this person like this. Therefore, I cannot be upset with this person because that's the last thing he would need at this moment. Number six, share. You yourself, teachers, often should be sharing your feelings with the students. Class, I am afraid about our test next week because I could see that many of you have not been studying well, as shown by the poor quizzes the past days. So please, I need you to prepare yourself well. Take advantage of the weekend. So you're sharing every so often. I mean, you have to share often why you feel the way you do. So here are 5 fun ways to help kids read nonverbal emotions. Play the feeling charades game. I mean, you know the game charades, di ba? Yung one guy, one person will give the clue she's not allowed to say any word, but through action, the other should be able to guess what feeling are you displaying. The list of vocabulary words of feelings, you can choose from there. What is she displaying now? That's play the feeling charades. Make comic mood characters cut out from different comic strips, different moods, show emotions. The character, comic characters that show the following emotions or moods. Number three, read with feeling, and especially kids, they have fun time doing this. Read Jack and the Beanstalk angrily. How will Jack and the Beanstalk as a story sound if the person reading it is angry? If the person is sad? If the person is frustrated? I mean, how does frustrated sound? Reading with feelings. Number four, watch silent TV. Sometimes you show a video, turn off the sound, and then just make them describe what do you think now is that character feeling with that kind of action that is showing, with that kind of reaction, the face that she's showing, um, ca- what kind of emotion is that? And the number five, hold a feeling lookout. This is done inside the classroom. You stand by the window, and then you point, okay, that person now, that man in green shirt walking in the corridor, what do you think is he feeling? Does he look like he just got accepted to a job, that he passed a job interview? Does he look like he knows where he wants to go? I mean, trying to read through feelings of others just by observing them. They are all part of 5 fun ways to help kids read nonverbal emotions. Okay, number three, finally, develop empathy for another person's point of view. Because in the end, that's what empathy is all about, putting themselves in the shoes of another person. Develop empathy for another person's point of view, seeing things from the perspective of another person. And here are just three simple ways. We are ending now, and then we'll open the floor for question and answer. Three simple ways to increase children's ability to take different perspectives. Okay. Number one, switch roles to feel the other side. Every now and then, right? You have debate as an activity. Okay, surprise them after the debate. Okay, let's have 5 minutes. Switch roles. Take the position of the other group. You were positive earlier, affirmative. Take the negative side now, and just imagine the perspective of the other person, switching roles to feel the other side. Number two, walk in my shoes. And I know I've heard some of the teachers do this as an exercise. Okay, class, we will start reporting next week. Okay. Now, when you report, don't just report about Jose Rizal. Come to class as Jose Rizal on that day and make us understand your report. Make us understand what you are supposed to deliver. Walk in my shoes. I mean, this time, almost literally, you walk, you try to put yourself in the shoes of that person, taking the perspective of that other person. And number three, imagine how the person feels. Imagine how the person feels. That will make them more sensitive, therefore, to feelings of other people, to the perspectives of other people. So, and I encourage you to read the book of Dr. Michelle Borba on empathy entitled Unselfie. Unfortunately, normally you just get to order it in Amazon. I've not seen it in, I know that they made it available in all the fully booked branches after fully booked hosted our April conference with Dr. Barba. And part of our deal with fully booked is to make many of her books, especially Unselfie and Thrivers, available for sale in fully booked branches. So she gives there very concrete strategies for parents, for teachers on how to develop empathy among the students. Okay, that her other nice book is Building Moral Intelligence, where she talks about the 7 essential virtues to develop if you want the young people to grow up with moral intelligence. If you want them to grow up always choosing to do the right thing, always wanting to do the right thing, well, empathy comes number one in her list. Conscience, self-control. And then from these three will follow the rest of the 7: respect, kindness, tolerance, fairness. Okay, well, I guess that brings to our end the discussion of the how they call this, the developing grit, resilience, and empathy. Just to end, and then we can open the floor for a few questions. Or if you want, you can also type in the chat box the questions you may want to ask, um, either for everyone to read, or you can send it as a direct message to me. As Aristotle taught, people do not naturally become morally excellent or practically wise. They become so, if at all, only as the result of lifelong personal and community effort. And this seminar today is Rose Hill's way of saying, let us, as a community, as a school, as an institution, commit ourselves to this, that we want our students in Rose Hill to have grit, resilience, and empathy, to grow up doing the good, choosing to do the good, even if it is difficult, even if no one is looking, and even if everyone else is not. This research by Samuel and Pearl Oliner in 1988, they interviewed hundreds of people who saved Jews from the Holocaust. I mean, there were people who helped the Jews, from being slaughtered, killed, murdered. And so they interviewed them, asking, why? Why did you do that? Why did you help Jews? And all of them answered, because that was how we were raised. That was how we were formed. That was how our parents taught us. That is how our teachers taught us. And that's what happens. Your students will have great resilience and empathy because you're going to teach them, because you're going to raise them up to be people with grit, with resilience, and with empathy. So, character is very important. It's there where our lives depend. It's on character, not in. But many marriages are falling apart, and we are told by Frank Pittman, it's character that will save marriages, not passion. And that's what will enable people to survive, to endure, to transcend misfortunes. Okay, so we're open for questions. Do you also give this talk to students? I give a different talk to students. I open their mind to the possibilities that they can do. Here's something I always tell people, and I tell students, young people, while I talk about you in a negative way to adults, you're not the problem. You are the solution to the problem because the future is in your hands. I mean, you are the ones who will determine how society will be 10 years from now, 20 years from now. That's why, please take care of yourself. Have grit, have resilience, have empathy because we need you, because you are the solution to our problems. You're the ones who are going to change society. So opening their minds to, making them discover their passion for leadership, for service. That's what I try to do to help the students. How do we guide a mentee towards empathy when she feels happy and sufficient alone? Ano yan? Loner, ganon. Well, no man is an island. Sooner or later, she will need the rest of the world. She will need other people. She will need an audience. She will need a buyer. She will need supporters. So the earlier we can open the eyes of these young people to the fact that, oh, you're so blessed. You are far more um, mm, fortunate than so many other people in the world. You are needed by those people. The earlier we can make them realize there's so much good they can do in the world to so many people, the better for them. And how I wish every PAREF student grows up with this mindset. My ambition in life is to be able to do as much good to as many people. How I wish we can plant that in the mind of every mentee, every student, every child that comes along our way. Um, the greatest legacy a parent can leave behind the children is the strong conviction that I have to be a good person, I have to be a good human being. If the parent can plant that in the mind of their child, their children, they are very good parents. Now I apply it to teachers. If you teachers are able to convince your students and to plant in the minds of every student of Rosehill, I have to grow up to be a good person, then you're a fantastic school, you're a great school, and heaven awaits for your reward because really, in the end, that's what we are supposed to be doing in PAREF schools, leading these young people to grow up not just smart, but especially to be good. And everything else will follow. Empathy will follow, grit will follow, resilience will follow. Sorry. Question: how can you teach the truth to the students when they ask about the LGBT movement? And they're precisely moved by empathy to tolerate the LGBT. Yes, I want you to watch the podcast of Jason Everett. How should Catholics react to the LGBT movement? Okay, that first thing he says there, I think, is when you see the rainbow, please don't get angry right away. Don't get upset and frustrated and feeling that we've failed in educating. No, no, no. The rainbow is not a sign right away of evil, okay? Because there are some of them who are in the movement because they precisely want to have the acceptance. Um, they want precisely to be given the treatment that they are not abnormal people, okay? Especially if they are the kind of people who just have that so-called same-sex attraction, but they're not going to go around doing immoral things. It's just that from their mindset, they think there should be that recognition of the fact that love, in whatever form it takes, is good, is okay. The love wins philosophy. In fact, Jason Everett starts first by talking about the stance of the church, which is understanding, love, charity. Caritas Christi Udget Nos, the love of Christ, urges us charity above all, that everyone, um, Christ died for everyone, that the gates of heaven are open even for people like that. But okay, there is now what we call the LGBT agenda, which is a totally different thing from LGBT simply as understanding them and charity above all, etc. The young people have to realize that there are two different things. One is the charity, acceptance, and um, that Christ died for everyone, and that has always been preached by the church. That not because a person has same-sex attraction, he is condemned to hell. That's not. I mean, that's the charity that we say, that even those who have same-sex attraction can get to heaven. But there is now what we call the agenda by itself, which has been become politicized and is political in the sense of pushing for redefining of marriage, which is a travesty of the sacrament that Jesus instituted, which is just between a man and a woman. Same-sex union, okay, you fight for that, but don't bring in marriage. Marriage is a sacred thing. It's a sacrament, and you don't trample with that. I mean, you don't bring it down to the gutter level that you also want it as a right for um, men and men. So those are two different things. And our reaction to that is, well, okay, we have charity for you, but there are certain things that you don't just tinker with, you don't just toy around with. And here's the problem: when students start mouthing LGBT rights and things like that, without realizing that by doing so, they may actually have fallen already into the political trap of the agenda. That's when they have to be called out for. Um, it has to be made very clear to them. It's a very tricky issue, but the first thing we should avoid is to immediately shut them down and then to condemn them, and then they will not listen anymore to us in whatever other things we say. You talk about charity, they will not believe it anymore because you already condemned, you already shut them down. Okay, sorry, but that's a very complex issue. I need more time to explain there, but we cannot. There are many other questions that I want to be able to tackle. I'm going to give you later my email address and my cell phone in case we run out of time for other questions. Ma'am Marcela, just let me know if it's already time, but there are four more questions here. What do we do to help students when we see their TikTok, IG accounts reflect the opposite values of the school without damaging trust towards their peers who see their accounts and offending their parents who perhaps don't see these accounts? That's why digital education is very important. Digital literacy. If it is not yet being offered in your school, you have to find a way of being able to do that. Maybe it doesn't have to be a full year course, I mean, full year subject, but you've got to have some modules on digital literacy being passed on to your students, given the Rosehill flavor of character formation, values, of what you stand for as a school. um, I find it more beneficial to do that. When you tell a student, this thing that I saw you posted in social media, it runs counter to our core values. No? When you're able to talk core values, what we stand for as a school, that's less harsh than simply telling a kid, bakit ka ganyan? Tanggalin mo nga yan. And then there's no explanation. I do it because I said so. That kind doesn't work anymore with these young people. Not only will they report you to Bantay Bata, but worse, in our situation, because we want to form their character, is when they shut you off. They don't want to listen to you anymore. Even in the good things that you will say, they will not listen. They will choose not to hear anymore because they've already condemned you for being like that, dictatorial, non-diplomatic, insisting on your own values. That's what they hear kasi in social media, no? So, digital literacy will solve that, especially when they are still young. I mean, especially at an early age. And here's now where student leadership comes in. Express that concern to your student council. Let them know that you are concerned, that you are worried, and that you want something done. You will be amazed at the creativity of these young people in coming up with what can we do to address that concern of the school. That's why, in the first place, we have to make sure that your elected student council officers understand and deeply appreciate the core values of the school. Please make sure you have seminars for them on understanding and appreciating what Rosehill stands for. They become the guardians of those core values. And they have to come up with, in the service of the school, because that's what they were elected for, in the service of the school. In the service of the school, they have to try to come up with projects to address your concern, that concern about social media, about offensive posts, etc. What microphone do you use for your? Is this because it sounds okay? It sounds okay. You can buy it in Shopee or Lazada. USB condenser microphone, 1,200, 1,300. The last time I tried ordering, it takes 1 week because it seems they have to ship it from China. It's not available in Binondo. It's not available. So, USB condenser microphone. Okay. How do we, maybe this is the last question, no? Because it's now 10:23. How do we help parents to have that mindset to allow their daughters to experience failure instead of expecting them to do well all the time? Well, of course, you have the PQF's opportunity to transmit this message to them. And then, I don't know, in the case of Southridge, I have a few highly successful graduates now who used to do very poorly and even failed, maybe even repeated a year in the past. And when they talk about that failure was the one that taught me to stand up and to prove myself and to be motivated to succeed, that's the kind of talks, testimonies that your parents should be able to hear. That failure is not a tragedy by itself. It is not the end. It may be the most important twist or um, transition that the student needs. And it may be the best lesson that he may ever have learned in his life. So be on the lookout for those kinds of people that you can get them to address the parents and talk about this, that failure is not an evil thing by itself. Okay. Okay, teachers need to be the first to sleep enough. Okay, somebody posted secretly. Yes, I agree. We have to take care of ourselves. In the same way that I said earlier, please be forgiving with yourself. Okay, and then here's something else. Minsan kasi I know some teachers like you who laging problema. Ano ba to? Nakikinig ba yung mga estudyante? Baka naman nag-TikTok lang. Baka naman nanonood ng Netflix. Nakikinig ba sila while I'm giving this? Please, don't punish yourself unnecessarily. Okay? Um, Maybe no, they're not. Maybe yes, they're doing. But it's find a way of getting them engaged and active and participating. But you've done what you can. There are certain things that are beyond your control. Don't problematize yourself with those things that are beyond your control. Otherwise, you're just punishing yourself unnecessarily. And then in the end, they may do poorly in the quiz because they were not listening. Or for all you know, they will find a way of being able to catch up. Good. Because you're going to give them a quiz, you're going to give them a test, you're going to give them a performance task that they have to deliver, that they have to exhibit, that they have to demonstrate. Okay, so it's up to them what they do at that moment. um, this is where also you need the collaboration of the parents. The disciplining we used to do inside the classroom, now it's the parents who are supposed to be doing that, making sure that their daughter is listening, making sure that their daughter is punctual on time in logging in if they have to, making sure that they do whatever it is that you ask them to do. You need the parents now to collaborate with you in that aspect. So please make sure you have a very strong parent orientation in the online setup, that there are expectations now that you are passing on to the parents. You need this homeschool collaboration precisely. You need this partnership now more than ever. That's why in principle, PAREF schools dapat yung nadalian sa transitioning. Kasi dati pa naman natin talaga inaasahan ng mga magulang na gawin ang kanilang di ba? Ang kanilang dapat gawin sa bahay. And now that we are in this setup, the parents have to be the ones doing what you were supposed to be doing, what you used to do inside the classroom. Okay, well, it's 11:30. I guess we will have to end. Suddenly, there's this. Okay,
Yes.
I will end.
Okay, so thank you very much, Mr. Mentor. Can I read to you the certificate of appreciation? RF Rosehill presents the certificate of appreciation to Emmanuel M. Rentoy for giving his time and sharing his expertise through a webinar with the Rosehill faculty and mentors on developing resilience, grit, and empathy, 3 essential virtues for the digital generation, held on the 1st of July 2021, 9:30 to 11:30, signed by myself as Executive Director. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
It's an honor to be given this chance to
Yes.
reach out to everyone. As I mentioned earlier, I am going to give you, sorry, this. Ay, no, nawala. I was supposed to show you my email address, but it disappeared. I think I didn't get to include the slide. Anyway, mannrentoy@gmail.com. In case there are other questions that you want to ask that we didn't get to have the chance to answer, I will type it here now in the chat box. mannrentoy@gmail.com. And then I hope to see you in our other future seminars. We have a 10 seminar series coming up this July on online strategies. You can get more details in our website, characterconferences.com. Okay, www.characterconferences.com. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very much. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
You don't want to have picture taking of the screen?
Yes, yes, we want.
So
Yes.
that
Yes.
we can have a proof that you were here, okay?
Selfie generation.
Yes, we're part of that too. So you're invited to open your screen, your video, and I'm going to, there are only 2 pages anyway. Smile with the biggest, widest, fakest smile you give on day 1. And then let's take a screenshot of page 2. You can open your screen and 3, 2, and 1. Okay, great.
Okay.
So, thank you very much.
Thank you to you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
I will end the meeting in
Okay.
5, 4, 3. God bless everyone. 2 and 1.